Welcome, welcome, Rehema. I think that
Hello, thank you for having me.
welcome.
Mm.
Good, good, good. We're giving people just a couple of minutes and then we'll get started in
Okay.
respecting those that have shown up, and people will join us as we go.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us. Happy Friday.
Hello, I hope everybody's had a good week.
Yes, we are having a good week and we are going to Furaha today as well.
Oh, goodness.
So we're excited. And yeah, Tuesday is going to rock. Yes, yes, yes. So we're also excited for having you again. Fingers crossed.
Oh,
Touch wood.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yes.
I hope I managed to help a couple of people.
Oh yeah. Not just a couple of people, a whole lot of people, a whole lot of people. A whole lot of people were like, that was amazing. And there's questions were flying in. Many of them were similar, so we just put them together, those that were similar. But yeah, people are very excited. They were.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Learned a lot. So that's why we're excited for this session as well. Yes, yes. So we're in double figures. Oh, someone's saying something.
It's good. Oh, there's something in chat. Oh, Sarah. I think I've got Sade and Rachel as my two
Yes.
challenges. While we're on, I don't know if Sade is going to be available. I was thinking of a Tuesday because if Sade is going to be available on a Tuesday around 6:30.
They said they wanted it, so they should make time and be available,
Yeah.
Other than maybe being at work at that time.
Yes, I'm available.
There you go. Sade's over there.
Yeah, I'm available. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Right. I think we'll wait for one more person, hopefully in the next few seconds, and we will get started. Welcome to this Women and Digital Inclusion session. And there we go. Welcome to this session of candid conversations around the cost of living crisis and how we can grow and even possibly thrive, build our resilience, and also be prepared for any other season like this, because seasons come and go, and there's, like everything that goes up must come down. So there's always down times and there's always up times. And how can we shore up for the down times? For those of you that are new to this platform, my name's Sylvia Kalunji. I am the project lead for Women and Digital Inclusion, and I am very excited to be here with you today. Women and Digital Inclusion is an organization, third sector organization, voluntary organization based here in Merseyside, and our mission is to end digital poverty and engender social equity in our society, focusing on serving the Black African migrant woman. And today, we're going to talk about empowering the woman. I don't know, that word is maybe overused, but hey ho, we're going to use it as well. And in order to empower the woman, because I believe women birth nations, we have with us a mother, an amazing, amazing warrior against poverty. Rehema, if you were not here last time, then you missed. But do not miss again, because you're going to be able to access the replay at some point. We're not promising when, but you might. And she's a pharmacist, a specialist. She refuses to give into poverty. And she's a property investor. She's a wife, a mother, a charity worker, and loves everything to do with Uganda. I love a woman like that. Because I'm from Uganda myself. Her motto is to be, do, and have. I mean, like we're created to be, do, and have, right? And so today she's going to pour into us. She's going to share with us her ways and what she has learned and experienced, so that we can avoid those pitfalls and go for only the good things about investments and your questions around finances, debt, and anything around investments. Hopefully, we're going to wrap this up before 7, but if we don't, apologies in advance. So please invite your friends if they're not yet here. Tell them it is already on. And without further ado, I'm going to invite Rehema to take over the baton. I'm also going to make you the co-host so that you can do what you need to do on this session. Please welcome Rehema.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm going to share my screen. Am I sharing?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I don't know what I'm sharing, but I'm sharing something.
The whole screen. Here we go.
Right. So normally when I start these things, I start off with a little teaser. So today our little teaser is a little video that I was going to show last week, but we just didn't get round to it. It's only about 1 minute and 40 seconds. And I'm hoping it shows, and I'm hoping that it inspires us as we go forward. So here we go. It's from the BBC, it's not mine, but this is our light starter for today.
Is the volume on? Yeah, it should be on.
Can you hear it?
No, there's no volume.
Oh, God.
Well, I them that have to
Oh, there it is.
And I went, no, I said, because it's not, but I was, we got these dropping them there. Actually, so.
Are you coming with me to Julie's? No. Oh, sorry.
No. The volume went off.
The volume.
I mean, very quickly, and then it went off again. Sometimes refreshing that could help.
Okay, let me press the refresh. Can you see the video though?
We can see the video. Tanzania's 13-year-old money expert. That's the one, right?
Yeah, I can hear it.
And then on the volume it says ×1. So maybe you want to increase that to a bit more. That might help.
Okay, can you hear?
Not yet.
Okay, let's start again.
Okay. No, not at all. Would you like to put the link in the comment in the chat, and I try to play the video?
I think I'll probably leave it there. But basically the message was that this 13-year-old, I'm trying to find my presentation now. This 13-year-old was really after my heart. It's a 13-year-old Tanzanian girl who is actually saving, investment, and teaching and writing, and she's being, doing, and having. So my motto is be, do, and have. She started investing in money when she was 8. I started investing when I was 11.
Wow.
And basically, I just wanted to inspire the ladies or some men or mothers on this platform to show you that the earlier you start, the better. I did my first savings when I was 11, opened my first bank account. And the story for me is that I used to get 50p a day for my lunch in Manchester here. And then my father said to me that my job was to save 5p a day, which is 10% of my income, if you like. And then at the end of term time, we had to take the money to the bank. So opened the bank account with my sister as well. My sister was 9, I think. And what I found interesting, which I didn't know it was teaching me at the time, was that if the end of the week I needed to have 25p because of 5p a day. If I didn't have 25p, I had to sit down and explain to Dad why I didn't have 25p, what happened. And trust me, with time, it was just a lot easier to have that 25p. So as a child, sometimes you have sweets, and sometimes I went over my 50p. But that meant that the next day or by the end of the week or the Friday, I just had to go without lunch as long as I had that 25p. So that was very good training for me. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was very good training for me, because having to explain to Dad why I didn't have this money was really, really, really difficult. It's not like he beat me or anything. And my sister, he always said, and you did what? And what happened because of what? And how do you think that's going to take you further forward? And, you had to sit there and explain this 5p. So over time, for me, it was just easier to just have the 5p. I didn't have to explain it. And then we would take the money to the bank in Salford. My first account was in Salford. And to show you how big we were, the bank counter was taller than me. So I had to put the money above me on the till. And obviously Dad will probably put a £5 note on top of that or not. I think the reason why I wanted to share this is because one of the mothers in the group said, what if I put that money away for the child? When I reflected on that, I said to myself, well, but you're not teaching your child anything. If in terms of finances, you need to actually teach your child how to manage their money, how to save their money, how to bank their money. Because it would have been very easy for my father to put £5 into my account. But the fact that I actually went, we did the whole journey, parking, opening the account, signing the book. That is all something that I learned going ahead. And obviously I carried that straight through to university. So from the age of 11 to university, I saved up every single day. So I thought I'd share that with you. So today, my task was to share with you investing in property in Liverpool. I don't know if everybody knows Liverpool. I have particular fondness for Liverpool. This is me in Liverpool, in case you're wondering, because I went to university in Liverpool, so I do know the area quite well. So today the task was to introduce us to property investment in the UK. And rather than talk at you, because I don't really want to talk at you, a lot of you have a lot of experience. I just wanted to have an intro. And then after we've had the intro, I wanted us to discuss some of the questions that were sent through. I've got some answers there. And then I'm really, really, really looking forward to going to help Oscar to buy his property. So that was really my task. That's what I thought we'll probably learn more, because Oscar set us a task. He said he's got a property he's looking at in Bradford. I don't know if he's on, but hopefully today we'll have a look. Oh, fantastic. Let me see. Fantastic. So Oscar, I hope you're ready. If Oscar is not ready, we can always look at somebody else's property that they're looking at as an exercise to see how I would be looking at that property. And as a heads up, I know nothing about Oscar's property. So all the information that we shall discuss today is really what we're going to get on this topic. So this is what I would do. And hopefully that will help us going forward. But let me first talk about property investment in the UK. And I bought my first property in the UK in 2002. So I think I've got a little bit of insight into the property market. So the structure for today, in terms of property investment in the UK, just an intro, the benefits, maybe we'll discuss those. By the way, each one of these slides is to put it to bed, to really discuss. I've got about 25 slides, I think, but each one of these slides is probably about 2 hours. So that gives you a little bit of insight into how little I'm going to be talking about on the property. I've been in the property game for quite a while. I've spent over I was thinking about it this week. I've probably spent about £30,000 on just education in property. So I haven't, it's not something I've learned, yesterday, but I'm still learning even as we go forward. So we'll talk about the benefits. I really wanted us to take a deep dive into the Liverpool property market, but we might not get the opportunity to do that. I know about Liverpool and property investment in Liverpool. So, it's something I can talk about, or we could do Bradford, which is where this first property is based. We can talk about anything that as a beginner that you need to think about, where you're going to get the money from or how you're going to refinance your property. And at this point, I like to say that there's a lot of money within your network that you are not accessing. So if you're struggling, it's not because there's no money in your network, it's because you don't have enough knowledge in your network to be able to access that money. Hopefully we'll talk about some mistakes to avoid, mistakes that I have lived through, and I can share a couple. I can probably share more than a couple, but it's through the mistakes that when you grow, expand, and learn more. I don't know if we'll get to talk about how to build your property portfolio and any Q&As going forward. So Sylvia, if you can maybe time me or something. I haven't got my timer today. Normally I have my timer, but I haven't got it today. So, and I can talk about property all week. So you need to really be on top of that. So I think everybody knows about the benefits of investing in property. One of the questions that came through is, should I invest abroad in Africa or the UK? That is a loaded question, but there is an advantage of investing in the UK in that it's one of the most stable property markets in the world. There's no other property market in the world that is tied to the currency as the property market in the UK. And you can appreciate this because all the Russians and all the Russian billionaires and the Chinese billionaires and the Middle Eastern billionaires are clamoring for property in the UK. A couple of years ago, or maybe it was before COVID, I was in Liverpool talking to somebody, and just that month, somebody from Israel had bought 80 properties in 1 month in Liverpool. So the property market in the UK is above any other property because it really keeps it's a very steady and a very predictable property market. So that's one of reasons for investing in the UK. You can invest for cash flow, okay? You can invest for capital appreciation, or you can invest for cash flow. If I say any words that are not quite familiar with you, please just write them down and maybe we can discuss them at the end. But I think cash flow and capital appreciation is pretty, it's fairly basic. But if I say anything that doesn't, it's not in your normal language, please do let me know. There are so many tax advantages in investing in property. There's so many deductions. You can basically have a house for free in the UK if you know what you are doing. That's the caveat. If you know what you're doing, you can have a house for free eventually. There's lots of opportunity for diversification in the property market in the UK. So for example, you could do rentals, you could do car parks, you could do hotels, apartment and hotels, you could specialize in land. So there are so many different ways of investing in property, and you can also invest in the service sector. So service sector, that means the things that support property. So for example, you could supply bed sheets to hotel. You're still in the property game. When you're in the property, you can also have control over your investment. So somebody again asked a question, is it easier to invest abroad than to invest here in the UK? I think if you can see, touch, feel, smell your investment, you're definitely in the know with your investment. Whereas if you're investing far, far away, then you are, you're putting yourself wide open to a whole load of things that can go wrong with your investment. And don't forget that in terms of your investment, it is you, it is your money. Nobody feels the pain for you. So you need to be in touch and in touching distance of your investment. I really wanted us to talk about the property.
I think a couple of people were saying, what is capital appreciation?
Oh, sorry. Capital appreciation is the amount of value that your property has gone up. So, for example, if you bought it 100,000, in 5 years' time, it might be 200,000. So, okay, so you bought it 100,000. In 10 years' time, it might be 150,000. That 50 from 101 to 150, that's your capital appreciation. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Oh, please try to explain layman's terms. A house for free? Yes, we can definitely get a house for free. Not easy, but we can explain that later on. I've got a house that's virtually free. Yeah, so I wanted us to discuss the Liverpool property market. And then I thought, well, you could apply this to any city. So you could go to Bradford, Manchester, Birmingham, Coventry, Sheffield, whatever. But the principles are pretty much the same. So if you know England, the hottest property market is in the southeast, so that's London. It's flattening out now, but the hottest at one point was London. And the next hottest spots are all in the north. So if you're in Liverpool or Manchester, you're in the right property market because of the Northern Powerhouse funding, certainly before we left Europe. So they're pouring lots and lots of money into lots and lots of projects in the north. So more projects mean more people means more rental, desire for rental means you can buy anything and rent it out. In London, you can practically buy a garage and rent it out for 2,000 a month. Soon it will be the same in the north. So the further north you go, so Manchester, Liverpool, I think Warrington is right in the middle between Liverpool and Manchester. So that's a really nice hotspot there. Or St. Helens, that area is really hot. The Eastern Europeans pretty much bought up all this edge of West Manchester before Warrington. So all that Atherton area, all that side, they bought it all up because obviously with the Powerhouse North investment, lots of Europeans are flying in. Liverpool's got an airport that flies to Europe straight away. 30 minutes you're in Europe, you're on the Isle of Man, you're in Jersey, Guernsey. So Manchester's pretty much the same. So these are the reasons why these are the property hotspots in England at the moment. Amazon is all over Manchester. So goods are coming in, they're coming out. So these are the reasons why the property is so hot in Liverpool and in Manchester. Obviously, Liverpool was the capital city of culture in 2000 and something, which I can't remember. All this means investments within the area. So if you don't know, so when you're investing in your area, you need to know all this information. So if I was in Bradford, I'm focusing on Bradford because Oscar's property is in Bradford, and we will be looking at Oscar's property later on if time allows. So look at your neighborhoods for potential investments. HS2 was going to go through Manchester, so the properties on that HS2 route skyrocketed. So what is happening in your area? Are they building a massive college in your area? And again, if you look on your planning portal, your council's planning portal, you'll be able to find out. People pay people to find all this information out for them. You need to drive around your city and see what is happening in your city. Obviously, I've put here, look at regulations and policies. Again, maybe when we look at Oscar's property, we'll understand that a little bit more. The other things that you need to think about when you're beginning to invest in property is it's really, 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 really important. And I have to underline this 100 times. You need to understand or define why you are investing. What's your why? Why are you investing in this asset? It's a whole lot of hassle. Why are you doing it? A lot of people come to me and say, you know what, Rehema, can you help me to invest in property? My first question I'm going to ask you is, do you want the property or do you want the money? And I need an answer for that question, a very clear answer. And then a lot of people are taken aback by that question because when you dig deep, you often find that a lot of people don't want the property, they just want the money. So when you're investing in property, you need to know why you're doing it, and you need to know what you want out of it. So you have to define your investment goals. And in terms of property is just an investment vehicle, an investment tool. You're not going to take it home with you. You're not going to go to bed with it. It's just an investment tool. It's either going to cause you a whole load of headache, or it's going to give you some money. So a lot of people say, you know what, I just want a long-term income. I want some income. I normally earn, X £100 a month. I would want an asset that gives me an extra £400 a month. And that's my goal. And that's fine, because if we know the goal, we then tailor the product to suit that goal. So that bit is really, really important. Some people want long-term capital appreciation. So if that's really what they want, then the investment strategy needs to be put in that. For example, I may buy in a rundown place. I'm not really too bothered about what's going on, because I'm really focusing 20, 30 years down the line when I'm looking at capital appreciation, because I know that place is going to be developed. There are plans in the council to develop that area. So I know that in 10, 20, 30 years time, I'll triple my money. If that's my goal, then if I'm not getting any capital, if I'm not getting any income in the short term, then that is fine. Some people want both. The ideal situation is to have both in property, but in property, you may not always have both. So it's really, really important to understand that. So we've defined our goal. And if you remember, when Oscar asked me, is this going to be the best thing I've ever bought? The first thing I said to him, I think, if I remember, was, why are you doing it? What is the end product? What is your outcome? Because that will then determine what we're going to do with this asset. The second thing you need to think about is your budget. Now, I can't see any comments in the in chat. So Julie, if any comments in chat, just read them out. I think I can see them now, but anyway.
Absolutely. If anything comes up, I'll give you a heads up.
Fantastic. So think about your budget, and you need to really, really understand your budget and your short-term budget, your deposit, your medium-sized budget, your running budget, and so on. So again, I'll touch on budgeting, and we can discuss that, because I think we will understand all these things that I'm talking about when we go and buy Oscar's property. You need to make sure that you research your area properly. It's really, these are all like where you're going to make the biggest mistakes. And also you need to remember that you make money on your property when you buy it. So the minute you buy it, you've made money. If you've not made money the minute you bought it, you're onto a long, slippery slope on that one. So it's really, really important to research your area. Obviously, we talk about risks in terms of property. So, for example, you might buy a leasehold property. Actually, it was a lady in one of my investment groups, and this highlighted one of these questions last week was, what if I took out my £500,000 pension and I put it in an asset? Well, this lady actually did. So she got £500,000. She bought a property on auction. She didn't know what she was doing. And then she lost the whole lot. How did she lose the whole lot? She didn't do the risk assessment on the property that she bought. The property she bought was worth £500,000. Tick. The lease on the property was a council-owned asset on the high street. The lease was 15 years. So when you buy a property on auction, you pay cash, and then you refinance and get your money out. You can't refinance a property with 15 years lease. You just cannot. Period. And the council refused to increase the lease to the minimum period of 75 years because the council was willing to wait out the 15 years that was left on the lease. It was a lot cheaper for the council to wait out the 15 years on the lease for the building to be empty than to pay somebody off for that asset. So it's really, really important that you understand what you're doing in terms of doing your research on the property. That example I've told you is a real example. I'm not making that one up. And the poor woman lost the whole lot. Now imagine if you borrowed that money from some friends or from the bank or from your pension, and you lost the whole or £500,000 just like that because you bought the property on auction and you didn't know what having a short-term lease meant. The other mistake that we do is we don't invest with experts in the field. So we think we know better and we go ahead and do it. I would advise against that a little bit. But having said that, it depends. If you're a 20-year-old, you can afford to make mistakes. If you're in your 50s with a short, tight budget, it's probably not a good idea to make these mistakes. So again, it depends. And also it depends on your attitude to risk as well. So financing your property investment. So you remember what I said before, there's a lot of money around. There's more money around now than there's ever been before. So there's a lot of money around at the moment. If you've got a mobile phone in your hand, you've got a money-making machine in your hand. And that doesn't sound, I don't know, people would just think, what did you just say? And I said, if you've got a mobile phone in your hand, you've actually got a money-making machine in your hand. You've got more technology in your hand than the technology that sent men on the moon. The first people that went on the moon, or went into space. So you really don't have a reason for not finding extra funds to fund your property. I was thinking about this when one of the ladies said, but these people have done a bedroom tax on me. And I thought to myself, by the time, sorry, I'm not being personal, but I thought by the time she's finished arguing about the £75 a month, she's probably done a lot of work on her phone and earned herself. I worked it out the other day. If she got 4 students, taught them English, charged £10 an hour, 4 hours a week, times that by 4 weeks, she's got more money than £75. Why is she arguing with somebody about £75? So there's a lot more money around than you actually think that you can do. That video clip was that kid who was 13 and she's teaching her fellow 13-year-olds about money and she's charging for it. So don't say there's no money. There's a lot of money around. You just don't have the knowledge to get that money. But it's really, really serious that you have to invest and save 10% of your income. That's just, it's not even a question. It's not even a debate. 10% of your income. Remember, I had 50p and I had to save 5p of my money every day. So you can finance your property through savings and personal capital. Capital means money, investment. You can purchase your property through mortgages. A mortgage is just a loan that is paid over a long period of time with special terms and conditions. But basically, it's a loan. And if it's your first property, all you need is this LTV. LTV means loan to value. So you put 5%. It's a ratio. So you put 5% down, and then the bank gives you 95%. That means that your loan to value is 95%. So you can see that if you save £5,000 in property, you can have 95,000 extra pounds from the bank. So that's a lot of money that's available to you. Your job is to find £5,000. And if I said, find me £5,000 so I can give you 9 to 5, who wouldn't do that? So you need to start thinking differently in terms of mortgages and property. I've put here loan to value of 25 to 75. So if you're buying a buy to let, typically, if you've got good credit rating, they will want at least a 25% deposit, and then they'll give you 75% deposit. If you not have very good credit, they might ask for 40% deposit, and then you have a 60% loan to value mortgage. But again, we can go into that if time allows. You can finance your property through partnerships and joint ventures, but that's a whole topic going on right there. But basically, find yourself a couple of friends that you understand your values and your, attitude to money and attitude to money, attitude to investment, and then get together with a specialist or somebody who's done it before so that you can actually invest properly. You need to understand your interest rates and your loan terms. And again, when we buy Oscar's property, hopefully, if I don't forget this bit, hopefully we'll get on top of that as well. And then you need to explore financing options that are favorable with those terms. So that's really, really important when you do that. I know this finance bit, I've really skimmed over it. We need to like have a workshop to really understand it properly, but it's just to let you know that this is what you need to think about. Obviously, when you're investing in property, I think it would be unfair for me not to tell you about any mistakes that you need to avoid. So not doing your proper research is really, you can do research, but you might not understand it. So it's really, really important to do your research. If you don't understand it, seek some advice, pay for the advice. So had that lady with the £500,000 asset paid a solicitor who specializes in auction properties. The solicitor probably charges £250. So had she paid that £250, she would have saved herself an awful lot of money, a lot of heartache as well. But this can happen to you and me. You need to think about your location of the property that you're buying. Again, location in relation to what you're doing with it. So for example, if you bought your, your property next to a nursery school and you want to make it, maybe not a nursery, but a school somewhere noisy, and then you wanted it to be a HMO for people that are doing night shifts, sleeping during the day, to be using that property, then maybe it's not going to work. I know I've simplified that, but in terms of location, you need to think about what you're going to do with that asset as well. And in terms of location, for example, you might find this great asset and it's going to be in a compulsory purchase order area. Compulsory purchase means that the council has decided it's going to buy this asset at a fixed rate. So it doesn't matter whether it's worth 100,000, it's going to pay you 60,000. So if you see this asset, it's on the market for, 70, 80,000, it's pretty cheap. You go all guns blazing, you do the deal on auction, and it's under compulsory purchase order. You've literally lost yourself. You buy it for 80,000, you've lost yourself 20K plus fees before you've even get out of the blocks. So the location is really, really important in terms of what you're going to do with that asset. Then your expenses, again, we are going to look at that in terms of when we're buying Oscar's. I'm really looking forward to looking at Oscar's property because hopefully all these things will come out that we are talking about. You need to also overlooking your market trends. Now, this is in relation to the goal. So for example, if you're saying to yourself that I want to buy this asset, I don't care what happens, starting point is 100K, my end goal is 200K over 20 years. You might not be bothered with the fluctuations, and you just eventually will get there. But if your goal is short term, like you want to get out of this purchase in 4 years, then it's really important that you look at the trends. And obviously, not paying for professional advice is very, very expensive. Now, once you bought your property, you can then, after a while, maybe after a year or two, you can then look at how you're going to, grow your portfolio. Portfolio just means the size of your. Okay, that's fine. Shadrach, I think that is one of the questions I need to answer. So. I've got a slide on that one. Admit. Oops. So the strategies to grow your portfolio. So you've got property one under your belt. Fantastic. Well done. You're out of the blocks. Now you need to keep running. So all these terms need to be familiar with you once you start growing your portfolio. So your BTL means buy to let, buy, rent, and buy back. That's another strategy. Lease options is another strategy. Donald Trump buys all these properties. When I read his book, realized that he buys all his properties through the lease option method. And that's a good strategy to have because you make a lot of money for very little capital up front. You can do service accommodation where you do, like, say, Airbnb, or and again, that's a whole different story that I need to tell you about that. You can do holiday lets, you can do apartments, hotels, etc., etc., etc. So in property, you can do a lot of investments in a lot of areas, and you will find specialists in each of these areas if you want to invest. So it's better for you to, find out what you are comfortable with. So, for example, there's no way I would do Airbnb because I have seen the nightmares of Airbnb. You make a lot of money, and then the next guest comes and steals all your stuff, and then you got to start again. So, Airbnb, it works for some people, and it doesn't work for others. So, it's a strategy that works. And Airbnb is also run, a lot of people are running it illegally in the UK. That's a whole different topic we need to talk about. If I remember, if we get time, ask me about that and I'll explain a little bit about it. So building a portfolio, you need to learn to invest and you need to learn to save so that you can reinvest your profits in property. Reinvesting is a good idea because you save on taxes. And again, that is something you learn a little bit more about. And eventually with time, you grow from 1 property to 2 properties to 4 to 6. Take it easy. It's not a race. You might not even want 6. You might say to 4 and say, you know what, I'm done. I've had 1 cannabis farm too many, and this is not for me. So you need to think about that as well. So this is a slide which shows a typical property investor. Property investment is not a race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, I think. So year 1 to 4, it might take you. The hardest property to buy is your first one, because the banks are not sure who you are. Your solicitor not sure who you are. They check and check and check and check and check even a bit more checks before they can let you have their money. The second property probably takes you a little slightly less, and then the third and fourth, etc., take you a little bit less time. So that's a brief intro into property. I don't know what the time is. Yeah, it's 17:25. What I wanted to do now is to really answer some questions. I think it will be unfair to take on new questions when we had some questions before. So I prepared the slides for those questions. I think there are about 4 questions. So I'm going to do that, then take maybe a 5-minute breather, and then Oscar needs to get ready for us to take a deep dive into his property. There's a question in chat. Explain how Airbnb are run illegally. Okay, I'll do that right after I answer these questions. So I got some people sent me some questions through, and the questions are, and I literally copied them as exactly as Julie sent them. The question was, is it a good idea? Is it a good idea investing to buying in the UK or in Africa? Because I hear people say it can't be transferred to the kids, and eventually government retrieves back the property. We can discuss this topic for about an hour, but I've summarized it here. The first question I would say to this individual is, why are you investing? That is always the first question. Why are you doing it? Are you doing it for you? Are you doing it for capital growth? Are you doing it because why are you doing it? I can't give you an answer, but why are you doing this investment?
A lot of people say they're doing it for their children.
Yeah, but that is not a why. Is it?
Exactly.
Are the children going to eat the house, or So I suspect that a lot of people are investing in property, in this kind of property, for cash flow. I think. I don't know. It might be cash flow. Is it a cash flow or capital growth? So they might think it's cash flow, they might think it's safe, and so on. So the first thing is it a good idea to invest to buy in the UK or in Africa? What is the purpose of the investment? Okay, that's one of the first questions I need to ask before I answer. What kind of property are you talking about? Is it a family home? Is it an apartment to rent? Is it a commercial building? Is it a car park? Is it a farm? You know, what is the investment? I don't need an answer today, but I'm just saying you need to break it down like this. Okay? What is it? What is the purpose? Now, the other thing I would need to ask is, and we need to say this, Africa is not a country. Okay? I'm going to say that again. Africa is not a country. It's a lot more countries. And each country, that's like saying, can I invest in Europe? Well, the laws in Holland are very different from the laws in the UK. So the laws in Zimbabwe and Rwanda and Uganda and Egypt are very different. So some laws in some countries, I think Zimbabwe is one of them, possibly Rwanda is another country, foreigners can only invest either 49 or 50% of the shares with a local. So you need to find out what are the investment and ownership laws in that African country. Yeah, so some countries, I think like Rwanda or something, they don't even allow foreigners to own property at all. And your child is going to be a foreigner because they don't hold the passport of that country. So what are you doing and what is the purpose of this? Okay, so some countries, for example, allow dual nationality. I'm going to put that in inverted commas because some countries definitely allow dual nationality, and it is there in law. And then it says that dual nationals are not allowed to own freehold land. So are you investing in a freehold land? And are you putting the investment in your child's name, who happens to be a foreigner in that country in law? So if that child then if you died and that child hopped on a plane and went to Africa, I hate that word Africa, I want to know the country, then they go to court. So they find squatters on that land, or even your relatives can reclaim that land. And then your child goes to court to say, somebody's on my land. You need to bring ownership. You need to bring where you live. You present your British passport. The judge will throw the case out in favor of the people that are in charge taking the land. Those are the laws of that country. So for example, I know in Uganda, those are the laws. So if your child went to claim that asset, in law, they wouldn't be able to claim it. In fact, they'll be breaking the law. So the judge will have no option but to throw, as a mercy, to throw the case out with court costs attributed to the child. So what are you investing for? That's very, very, very important. If you're investing for your British child in a foreign country, whether it's China, Tibet, Uganda, Zimbabwe, whatever. So find out the laws. That's very, 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 very important. Okay. The second thing that's important, if I was having a conversation with this person who asked the question is, does your child even speak the language of that country? A lot of Africans, their children don't. So what are you doing? In what language is that child going to go to court to argue that they own that asset? What kind of Zimbabwean child who doesn't speak Shona can then go to court and claim that they have a stake in this asset? Of course, the judge will throw that court case out. So if you're investing, invest in the child's education, take them to their African country, teach them their language, teach them everything to do with Africa and their asset, etc., etc. Otherwise, do not bother. Sorry, it's painful, but there it is. It's a lot more painful to hear it now than when you've died, your child hops on the plane and the judge throws them out. Now, what can you do instead? There are some countries, for example, that run exactly like here in England. And for example, you could create a trust. If that property is unencumbered, you could create a trust in that country, and then your child could be a beneficiary of that trust. So that child does not own the asset, but they can be a beneficiary of the income from that asset. And then you appoint a group of trustees, and if all goes well, they can have access to the income of that asset. So I think that is the best way I can answer that question. The next question was, and yes, can the government retrieve the property back? Absolutely yes, because in law, some countries, dual nationals, once you achieve the nationality of another country, you automatically cease to own your asset in that country. So some countries are like that. So for example, I know in Uganda that's the case. So if you seize, and you've got the property is not in a trust, the government can claim the asset back, yes. Let me see what's in chat. Our court case is heard in the legal language of the country, for instance, English, French, etc. Is Uganda a trustee type of country? So the court cases can be heard in the language, yes. But remember, this child will need to then bring witnesses. Yeah? So there's a court case, there's witnesses. This child last went to Uganda when they were 3 years old, now they are 40. So which witness are they going to bring? Yeah? So you need to think about all of that. If you're investing for your children in Africa, whichever African country it is, be familiar with the laws of the country. Take your child to that country, give your child that name, and call your child that name and speak to your child in that language. Otherwise, don't bother. That's what I would say. The next question was, how else can one save apart from having an ISA and still make a profit? Okay, we're going back to square one. Why are you saving? What is the purpose? What is the outcome? What is your time frame? So for example, I might be saving because I'm going to pay, my child is 5 years old, and I'm envisaging that by the age of 25, they're going to have this grand £30,000, £40,000 wedding. I'll put it in an ISA, yeah, and we're good to go. A cash or stocks and shares ISA. If I'm saving for an ISA to buy my property, provided I'm between the age of 18 and 40, the best thing I could do is put it in the lifetime ISA. So if I put in £4,000 every year from the age of 18, let me say 20 to 40, that's 20 years. Yeah, so 4,000 times 20, and then a quarter of that the government will give me. It's a no-brainer. So I'm going to put it in an ISA. So what is the purpose of what it is that you're investing? If I'm investing because, I don't know, you need to give me a purpose of why you're investing in order for me to work out what you're doing. Some people invest because they just want to have a exposure to risk. I've got £500. What will happen? Exposure to risk, and test my waters out. Maybe I'll put it in stocks and shares and see what happens. Maybe I'll buy cryptocurrency and see what happens. But the other ways you could invest is you can buy jewelry. So you can buy gold, you can buy silver, platinum, and so on. There, obviously, you can go to the bank or the mint or whatever, and you can buy these metals that way. Keep them in the bank or some kind of vault, or wear them, and eventually in 20 years time, 30 years time, you're saying you're going to sell these metals, and then you're going to make some money. So that's another way that you could invest.
Don't touch that.
Oh, okay. Dr. PK, investment eventually sell up and invest here. I know people who have done that with gains. Okay, we can discuss that. So you could do cash ISA. You could invest in stocks, the FTSE 100. It's a very good idea. The FTSE goes up all the time, except now that we've got digital currencies, maybe it's time for that FTSE to be tested. If it can stand up. Again, it's a process. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of knowledge. You've got to have the right platforms to invest in the FTSE. Cryptocurrency is another way to invest. So, for example, I don't do cryptocurrency because I don't understand enough about it. So I don't do it. My brother, on the other hand, does cryptocurrency. He can't even understand why I do properties. For him, it's crazy. We're all different. You can invest in art, make sure it's curated properly. And African art is on the up. So I know there's a gallery in Manchester, Chuck Gallery. They curate art, proper art. I don't mean art that you found on the high street, on the street down the road. Proper art, and then just enjoy it. But it's an investment. Obviously, don't let your kids paint all over it while it's in your house. You can also invest in businesses, other people's businesses, peer-to-peer lending, and so on. I think investing in business has been such a long. It's been around forever. Somebody says, I'm doing this. Can you lend me X so that my business can grow? That's peer-to-peer lending, investing in business. That reminds me, somebody did ask a question about peer-to-peer lending platforms. I think I've got a slide somewhere that I looked at. The next question was, is it a good idea to buy adjoining properties or a new build homes, or considering savings to something better in Africa than UK and paying mortgage for life? This is how the question came. So I literally copied it. It's not me making it up. So again, I found this question was very woolly or unspecific, because what do we mean by a good idea? So your good idea and my good idea are very different. It really depends on the outcome. What is the outcome? What is the exit strategy of that investment? So I can't answer that one without knowing those questions. Is it okay to buy? So I broke it down like this. So adjoining houses, about 90% of the stock in the UK is adjoining properties. So if you're not going to be buying adjoining property, you need a lot of money in your portfolio. It's not a problem if that's your strategy. You just need a lot of money, and you need to be very clever about it. You want to buy farms, barns, and so on, homes, hotels, etc. So the majority of houses in the UK have got adjoining properties. So a lot of them are terraces and terrace, semis, they have flats, so adjoining top, bottom, and sideways. So that's the most stock in okay, admit all. I think I've admitted. Okay, so I'm breaking this question.
All admitted.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm breaking this question down. Define something better in Africa. I think we've agreed that Africa is not a country. So Africa is full of lots of different countries with lots of different laws, different property laws. If it is Africa, let's say Morocco or Tunisia, where you can fly in and out in, I don't know, 3 hours, fabulous, go for it. If it's Africa, like South Africa, where you need to fly to Nairobi, then connect from Nairobi to Zambia, and then connect from Zambia to Pretoria, and blah, blah, blah. It depends. If you're able to do that every other month, fantastic, go for it. If you're going to be going there once every 5 years, I would have a big think about that. If it's property that you know the area, you know the neighborhood, you know that you've got a good letting agent, go for it. So there's lots and lots of ifs in this picture, because I don't know which Africa you're talking about, and I don't know what your outcome is. If you can't supervise your investment, it's really, really difficult, because like I said, nobody feels the pain for this money than you do. Not even your twin sister that you were born with. I can tell you that for free. I don't have a twin sister, but not even your twin sister would know the pain you're going to go through when you lose. Not even your mother who gave birth to you will feel this pain. So it's really important to supervise your investment. You need to bear in mind currency, exchange rates. Africa, on the whole, African currencies, the further south you go, the more wobbly the currency is. So your asset can be quite quickly devalued in value, if you like. So if you put, I don't know, 100K in that project, it could very quickly become 50K of assets. Whereas if you put 100K in a property in the UK, it's highly unlikely that the asset will go down to 50K. So again, but on the other hand, you could say, well, if I put 50K in, it's going to be worth 300K in 3 years. And that's the risk that I'm willing to take. So again, it is, what are you investing? Why are you investing? What's your attitude to risk? Then there's the issue of bringing money to the UK. Now then, I think you've heard of somebody called Roman Abramovich. I don't think, well, I might be wrong, but I'm not sure if anybody on this call has got more money than Roman Abramovich. Okay, and I'm not being disrespectful. Bringing money to the UK was even difficult for Roman Abramovich to buy property. Mohammed Al Fayed. The laws in the UK protect the UK property. And this is the attraction of UK property, because there's money laundering, there's all sorts of things going on. So if you're going to be bringing money to the UK, it needs to jump a lot of legal hoops. So for example, you can't bring it in a handbag and buy a property. You can't even buy a car with it. You need to get that money through a solicitor on the escrow account, on the solicitor's account, and then the solicitor has to certify that money, and then before you buy a property with it. So that is how much they protect the asset. So it's not impossible, but as long as you're aware that the route is that you bring the money, there's actually a proper term for it, which I've forgotten for now, where you give the money to the solicitor. You then need to prove all sorts of things to that solicitor, who then needs to certify that money before that money can be leased out or let out loose on the UK property market. It's not impossible. It's definitely doable. It's going to cost you. I think there was a few years back, there was a Nigerian, either minister or ex-minister or something. So she literally brought half a bag of £500,000, went down to London, Trafalgar Square, and she thought, you know what, I can buy this asset. She ended up in prison. So it's just to be aware that bringing money to the UK to buy property is not as easy as you might think it is. And again, that goes back to if you're investing for your child. So if your child, if you died, your child went down to Africa, whichever Africa it is, sold the asset, and they need to bring it back, they then have to go through the loopholes of inheritance tax loops to be able to buy property with that money. Somebody asked, I don't want to be paying a mortgage for life. You don't have to pay a mortgage for life. You can pay a mortgage for as long as you like. Typically the bank will say 25 years because it's easy to manage, but you can sign an agreement for 25 years and say, you know what, I'm going to pay it over 5 years or 10 years or 7 years or whatever it is that you like, or 35 years if you like. So this term changes as your circumstances change and as you actually like it. Start early and finish early. Get that first asset done and dusted, put it under your belt, protect it in a trust, and off you go. Oh yeah, this is a question about peer-to-peer lending. There are so many peer-to-peer.
I get what I'm saying before. I want to cancel the work. May I can't do decoration.
Oh, I don't know about that. So there's so many peer-to-peer lenders. So peer-to-peer lenders, if you remember what I said, is people saying, you know what, it's Rehema and her friends, and saying, you know what, we're going to ask everybody on this call to give us £1,000. We're going to go and buy a property. So we become a peer-to-peer. So you're peer-to-peer lending. You're lending to us. We're your peers. That's what it is in a nutshell. There's so many. They come up every day. Some are FCA regulators. Some are not. They don't have to be. And also they go bust every other day. So you need to find out, the track record of your lending platform, and maybe put a dip in there and say, you know what, I'll put £1,000 in there or £500 in there. If you lost 500, it's nothing really. But if you put 10,000 in there and lost it, it's a bit of a bigger loss. Somebody also asked, can I get on the housing ladder even when I am on benefits? Again, this question is loaded. I think I've got 2 slides on this one. The first thing to note is what are the terms and conditions of your benefits and what are the restrictions. So for example, I know that in Universal Credit, if you earn £1, you take off something like 45p or something like that. So you earn money, they actually take off money. So in the end, it doesn't really help you to work. And then you have to declare that money, you have to declare your savings, and you have to do all sorts of things. So find out the first thing about the restrictions with your either Universal Credit or whatever benefits that you may be on. But yes, it is possible. So you could put your money, for example, in a lifetime ISA, put a couple of coins here and there, a few bits here and there, instead of relying on benefits. You should also take advantage of the schemes in the UK, and each council actually might have a different scheme. So there's the right to buy of your council house, and there's right to acquire of your housing association house. So the council house, and again, it changes as councils get poorer and poorer, the offer gets less and less. So in the old days, I don't know if it's true now because I've not looked into it recently for anybody, the council used to add up all the rent you've paid in that house. So if you've paid 10 years worth of rent in that house, they add it all up, say it comes to 40,000. That would be the discount they give that house. That is originally what they're supposed to do. Now, a lot of councils are now following what the housing associations are doing and capping that. Now, the whole idea was basically they know that they can't throw you out of that house. So rather than lose out, why not get a little bit of money out? Remember, this is a free house for the council. So why not get a little bit of money out of somebody so they can use that money to build more stock? That's the purpose. That's why they would say, if you've paid £40,000 or £50,000 in rent, we'll take that as your as your deposit, and then the rest you take it as a mortgage. So that's your council house. Housing association, these are enterprises. They're not for profit, but they make a lot of money. They just put a cap on it. So I think in Manchester, a lot of them say £10,000. So you've paid them £40,000 or £50,000 worth of rent, which they've kept, and then they'll just give you that £10,000, and then the rest is your mortgage. Now, if you're buying houses in this particular manner, there are terms and conditions to these properties. So they might say, for example, and again, find out the terms and conditions. Each provider probably has a slightly different terms and conditions. So, for example, some housing association will say, we can let you have this house, you can buy it under this particular condition. However, you cannot rent it out for the first 5 years. And if you do, we'll take that house back off you. So you need to find out the terms and conditions. But typically, you cannot commercialize this asset if you bought it at a discount, because what they're trying to do is to prevent people taking advantage of that housing stock. Can I get on the housing ladder even when I'm on benefits? Oh, this is the second part of that slide. The first thing, one of the things you need to do is budget like crazy. You need to save like crazy, budget like crazy. put your money on your, an account that you just don't tap into that money, your 10%. You need to research your assistance schemes in your area. So, is your local government offering you things? Is there affordable housing stock? Shared ownership schemes? Can you tap into all of those? Go to your local housing groups and be part of it. If you're part of a housing association, if you live in a housing association, they have regular meetings. You should be attending those meetings in your housing association so you can influence, because you've got a share in this organization. They don't give you money in terms of share, but you've got a share in that housing association. So you've got a right to decide how it's run, what discounts they can give you, and all of that. So engage with your housing association. If you want to, normally if you're on benefits, you don't usually have a good credit score. So you need to improve your credit score. Again, improving your credit score is like a whole hour or 2 hours discussing that, which I'm not going to do today. You can think about co-ownership. So for example, you can co-own with your kids. For example, if they're over the age of 18 and they can purchase, they've lived there, they can purchase that house with you and take a share of it. But the other thing here I've put is that there's a constantly changing landscape. So that means that the terms and conditions, all these things I've discussed today about housing stock, social housing stock, they can change the terms tomorrow. So you need to be on top of these terms in your area and with your housing association as well. Write to them early, start early. Don't wait until, there's a lady here that I know in Manchester. I started, she lives in local housing. And I said to her about, I think about 15 years ago, actually, I said, I think you should buy your house from your housing association. She says, I'll wait until my son, daughter, whatever, they're 18. So at the time when I told her this, the house was worth about 80,000. So she's waiting, blah, blah, blah. She's waiting for the son to grow up, son, daughter, son, daughter. So 15 years later, the house is now worth maybe 200,000. So she's got, instead of getting an 80,000 mortgage, she's now looking to finance a 200,000 pound mortgage. Remember, she's older. So if you're older, the terms and the lending terms are less favorable to you, because the chances of you dying before you finish that mortgage are higher. So had she bought that asset 15 years ago, she'll probably be halfway through it, massive growth, So think about starting early. It doesn't matter. Just start early, lock that, because once you've fixed it at 80,000, you fixed it. They're not going to up it any further than that. The house will go up in value, but your borrowing will not go up any higher than that. And you're not getting any younger. So I think this topic could go on and on. So I was going to ask for a break at that point. And then let me see if there are any.
We have a ton of questions in the chat, so I don't know about a break.
There's the housing association said the house I'm living in does not qualify for the scheme of being sold to me. How can get another chance for the housing association? So Farai, you've got a right to acquire. This is the difference with housing associations and housing and council houses. With the housing association, you've got a right to buy another house. So ask them what other house is available to buy. They might not have one in your area, and you just be willing to buy and get on that housing ladder as soon as. Money saving, let me see, there were 13 questions. Can Ugandans with British citizenship invest in Ugandan bonds? I don't know much about bonds in Uganda, so I can't answer that question. Ugandans, right. I'm from Uganda, so I've done a lot of research about this topic. Uganda does not allow dual nationality. That's a shock to a lot of people.
It actually does.
Well, it doesn't, not in law. Well, it does and it doesn't.
Okay.
The law that the law written in law in Uganda was signed in 1958. That's the law in Uganda that is running currently. There was a law that was debated in Uganda in 20-something, and the president refused to sign it. So that law has never been rescinded. So, however, because we don't read as Africans, and the Ugandan, I think Julius Moto was the ambassador, UK ambassador. I actually asked him this question. He didn't have an answer. So that law has never been signed, ascended. And therefore, if you went to court and the judge knew what they were doing, they will pull out the law of 1958. So you just need to be very, 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 very careful with that. Yes, they do say, get your dual nationality, sign here, sign this piece of paper. They're peddling that, but in law...
Yeah, they're peddling it for £400 per person.
In law, it doesn't hold any water. I don't know if that applies to other countries, but certainly in Uganda, there is no law that allows it. The law was signed in 1958. If you want, all laws are published on the government website. Every government publishes their laws. If you want to prove it, go on the Ugandan government website and look for it and email me a copy, because I certainly know there isn't one. Investment, I'm trying to quickly, because I really do want to break. Can you tell us, please, the process that one needs to undergo in order to buy property from the council? I think we've covered that, Shadrach. Explain how Airbnbs are run illegally. Right, Airbnbs are run illegally in that the mortgage, the house belongs to the mortgage, the lender. Until you're basically a tenant in this house until you finish the very last pound. Most lenders, the lender determines the terms and conditions. Most lenders say in writing that we do not want you to do sub-rent or short-term let-out asset. If you do that, we will recall that mortgage. Recalling a mortgage means they will give you 28 days. Some lenders will give you 7 days to clear that mortgage. That means that 7 days to pay the balance or give the asset back to the lender. Yeah. So if you owe 150K and the lender caught you Airbnb their asset, they can say either give us 150K in 28 days or give us our asset back, regardless of what the balance you paid. So it is not legal to do Airbnb in your house. So read the terms and conditions carefully. Some of them allow you, I think, up to 30 days in any 12-month period. Some of them allow you 90 days in 90 days that you can do it in any 12-month period. So read the terms and conditions, but most lenders do not allow it. To the point that this has actually trapped a lot of people. So a lot of people have bought property, flats, because they're going to Airbnb. They've worked out all the money they're going to get. And then they turn up on the day and the concierge says, no, you can't do this in this property. It's against the mortgage, the terms and conditions of the mortgage. So, and also the other thing is a lot of lenders are actually employing people to go on Airbnb to find if their property is on Airbnb. So if they catch your property on Airbnb, they'll recall that mortgage and they'll blacklist you for lending. So of course, a lot of people do it. A lot of people get away with it. Why want to take that risk? It's entirely up to you. I can't say don't do it. Lots of people do it. Lots of people make money. But if your lender catches you, then you run the risk of having that mortgage recalled. That's the biggest risk, that the mortgage will be recalled. And then obviously you won't have the 150,000 or 200,000 that you owe on this asset to clear that mortgage within 28 days. Our court case is heard in legal language of the country. I think we answered that. Is Uganda trustee type? Uganda's laws in terms of property copy the UK law. So in terms of trusteeship, yes, it's just like for like. What do you advise? I presume that says a Ugandan who owns property in Uganda but has now got British citizenship. Now, if that property is on a freehold land, that property automatically becomes leasehold. And the leasehold is 49 years in Uganda. After 49 years, the government has got a right not to renew that lease, and they can take that property off you. So those are the laws. What happens in reality might be different, but those are the laws. Investment to eventually sell up and invest here. I know people who have done that with gains. Yes, this is all about bringing your money back. Your money's got to be cleaned with the solicitors before it can be allowed to enter the property market. By the way, if you bring the money and you can't prove it's clean, you automatically entered into the money laundering scheme, and that's a whole kind of worms that's going on for you. Can Ugandans with British citizens invest in Ugandan bonds? I think I've answered that. What is your take on personal development, like doing PhD, attending relevant training? I think all education is really important. I've spent over £30,000 on property education since I started. So do what makes you tick. But why are you doing it? The question is always why. Why are you doing it? Are you doing it to impress someone, or are you doing it for yourself? Because if you're doing it to impress me or your neighbor or whatever, you're probably not going to impress them. So do it for you. I do property because I love it. It makes me tick. I find buildings exciting, construction and all of that. Actually, I was going to show you a video of me doing all my construction stuff, but we might not have that in place. SACCOs, NIGINA, etc. I think we talked about SACCOs last time. The main thing here is that you don't have control of your asset.
I was answering someone who was asking peer-to-peer lending, peer-to-peer investments. So I just posted in the chat, SACCOs, NIGINAs. Those are examples of them.
Yes, peer-to-peer. The other thing about peer-to-peer is that in property, they are not allowed to approach you. The lender is not allowed, the borrower is not allowed to approach you. That's really, really critical. That's why they advertise in social media. You go to them. And also it has to be run by high net worth individuals. So those are people that have got liquidity of 250K. That means they've got access to £250,000 in hard cash somewhere. How does lease option work? A lease option basically is you go to somebody, and we'll probably try and find some today. I was hoping we'd try and find some on the website today. I don't know if you even have enough time. Oh my God, Oscar, we're going to run out of time for your thing. A lease option, basically, if you see a property that is buy/let, that's a lease option. So you've got the option to rent it out and buy it back later. So Donald Trump, for example, he goes to all these hotels because they just need cash flow. And he says, you know what, I'll buy it off you for £500,000. So he's giving them £500,000 cash flow. You sign terms and agreement, and then you buy it back later in, say, 50 years' time. But in the meantime, you've got control of the asset, and you can rent it. You can do whatever it is that you want with that asset to generate cash, and eventually you'll be able to buy that asset. That's actually a very good way of entering the property market if you've got very little money. So you could enter the property market for, say, £5,000 used through lease options. It's very easy. It's not easy. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's doable. Can you explain how help to buy schemes work, please? Oh my goodness, that's got to be another topic and another day, because I'm not going to be able to cover that today. What age can I start saving for my kids in an ISA? Remilekun. Remilekun, you can start saving for your kids at any age, from the minute you drop your child on the floor, you start saving for them and do your investment trust or whatever it is that you want. But what are you trying to do? That's the key. Are you trying to teach your child about finance? Which I think is I think the Christians say, give me a rod to fish rather than give me the fish, something like that. Are you trying to give your child the fish or the rod? So invest for your child, yes, but the better education I don't want to say better, is to teach your child to fish for themselves. So when they're 11, open their savings account for them, and then don't open the savings account for them. Help them to open the savings account. They will have ownership of this account. Otherwise, this child is going to say, well, you forced me to open this account anyway. I'm not going to put any money in. You do it yourself if you want to. This is what kids of today say. So what is it that you're trying to do? I think you're trying to teach yourself financial acumen. So save for your child, but teach your child to save. teach your child to save. If you died tomorrow, that child would know how to save. Also, there is the voucher. I think Tony Blair's government gave us a £250 voucher for every child born between 2002 and 2011, I think. And they put that money in the trust. So you could start with that money if they're 18. Oh, no, you can't, because they will draw the money out when they're 18. But again, showing them how that works. And you could add to that. You could add to that voucher. Can you help with banks that offer I don't know what that means, Amaka. Can you help with banks that offer? I don't know what that means. Housing Association said the house. Okay, thanks. Do you see this training as an investment? Absolutely, because I'm learning a lot of information from the participants. I'm learning a lot, and that's what excites me. And also when I go away, I think about, oh, what was that? So for example, I got asked a lot of questions last week about there was a lady who had 6 kids, and she takes them cycling and doing all these activities, and I thought to myself, well, if she just gave them some money and said, right, it's your responsibility to save for your swimming classes, maybe that might get that message across. The reason why I really like teaching about finance is because I find that within our Black community, we're not taught about finance, and you need to make finance fun and easy and accessible. So for me, it was that 5P. So it was not necessarily about the amount, it was the activity. The other thing as well is invest in a game like the Rich Dad, Poor Dad game, or Monopoly. So at home, we always play Monopoly on a Sunday. So I knew about property. I knew about Mayfair and Old Kent Road and, investing in utilities from that property game. So yes, it is great training. Yeah, we're back. Yeah. So what I really wanted to do today, I wish I could share screen. I need to share.
What?
Right. I wanted to. Oh, I need to close that. I wanted to open a new page, new window. Oh, close this window. I'm going to stop sharing first and then maybe close some windows.
Yeah, close the screen sharing, then open the specific window you want, and you choose it when you click on screen share. Then we choose that window.
So, and then screen share after that. So I'm going to, are you giving me ability to share? Why isn't it sharing?
You can share, you're a co-host.
Host. Is it sharing now?
No, not yet.
Host only. It's not allowing me to. Host enter.
All right. Let me take permissions over and then give them to you again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there you go.
Send request, yeah?
Yes.
Share.
We can see.
Can everybody see right move?
Yes.
Okay, fabulous. So what I wanted to do, Oscar, is to pretend that I or you and me, or you and everybody on this call, we're going to buy your property, and we're going to help you to buy your property today.
All right.
So I don't know anything about this property. So I wanted to look at it as an investor in this property. And I just basically, I don't know if it will come through, if we will learn anything, but what I wanted to do was to show people some desktop due diligence that you should check when you're buying a property, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So I'm using Rightmove, but you can use Zoopla if you want. Zoopla is a bit more complicated now than it used to be. So that's why I'm using Rightmove. Okay?
Okay. All right.
So I've come in cold, and we need to find out the asset. What's the postcode of this asset?
The postcode is put at BD4, just BD4.
BD4.
That's it. The second address is not given. But the street,
Yeah.
the street is Vulcan Street. That's VULCAN. Yeah.
In Bradford?
Vulcan, Tongue in Bradford.
BD4.
Tongue without an E. Yeah.
BD4.
Yes.
Yeah. Tongue
Yes.
Street. So the
Yes,
first obviously the
Street.
first thing we need to do when we are buying our property is find out where it is. So I know it sounds really obvious, but that's the first thing. So it's Tongue Street and Vulcan Street in Bradford. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if I don't, so have you seen the asset?
Yes, I did see it.
Right, okay. So you should, I'm surprised that you don't know the number of the asset, but that's okay.
I tried to look for it, but it didn't give me the second number of the asset.
Okay, that's fine. So if you can't find it, let's try and zoom in. So I'm showing everybody that we are zooming in on Tongue Street. Is it Tongue Street or Vulcan Street?
It's Vulcan Street.
Okay, so we walk down, we're going to walk down Vulcan Street, and you tell me which property it is.
All right.
There are not that many.
Keep going. I think I'm seeing it. Yeah, I think I'm seeing it.
Is it this one?
Oh, it should be that one, yes.
Is it this one?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Is it that one? No. Check. There's another one up the other side.
Is it this one?
No, the one on the right. Back on the right. Yeah.
This one?
No. You know where the car is up front. No, if you need to go back left.
Okay. This one?
No.
Oh. So this is where the car is.
Yeah, if we go up straight on this road.
Yeah.
There's a white car too, farther up.
There's a white car. Yeah, that way. Yes, exactly. So the one looking directly. Yes, that's it. That's the.
All right. So what do you want to do with this property? So that's the first thing we need to ask ourselves, what we're going to do with this asset.
Like an investment, more like commercial purpose.
So what's your what do you want to do? Do you want to rent it? You want to live in it? You want to?
I'm looking to rent it.
Rent it to who?
To a tenant, like a living, like for everyday living.
Is it a working tenant? Is it a benefits tenant?
No, working tenant.
A working tenant. Okay, yes. So for me as an investor, I'm looking at this property for the first time, and already my instinct says to me to run 100 miles from this property. I'll tell you why. It looks like it's a brand new property. So being a brand new property, it means one is possibly going to be leasehold.
Okay.
And the lease, oh my God, let me just plug my electricity in. And the lease is probably going to be very short.
Okay. So I'm looking at it on Zoopla. Let me see.
I've just plugged my. So already as an investor, if it's a family house and I'm going to live in it, that's perfect. Well, it's not perfect. I wouldn't buy this house anyway, but it depends on my circumstances. But as an investor, I would personally run away from this house.
Okay.
Okay.
It shows freehold on Zoopla. I don't know what that means. It's showing freehold. Okay,
that's fine. I need to find the number. It looks like it might be 21, maybe.
Oh, hold on. I think it's the other one.
Which one?
Yes, I think it's that one.
This one?
Yeah, that one. I'm looking at the door now. Yeah, that's the one.
So this is number 25. How do I know it's 25? Because the bin says 25.
Yes.
So it's number 25. It's a mid-terrace. It's a brand new house. I would run 100 miles from this property. It wouldn't be in my portfolio.
Okay.
Because brand new houses, one, they're very small, the rooms are very small,
Mm-hmm.
and the families are going to be really cramped in these properties. And they're going to be very, they're highly unlikely that it's not leasehold. So how developers make money is that they build brand new houses.
Mm-hmm.
They put a lease of, say, 125 years on it.
Okay.
And then then the lease, eventually you'll own it, then you sell it, and that lease will come down to eventually 85 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And it won't take long to get down to 85 years, trust me on that. And then it'll creep down to 75. At that point, that property is unmortgageable.
Oh, really?
So that's already, so if I saw this house and I was trying to sell this house, it's probably going to be on an auction. If I was to sell, if I bought it, it became under 85 or 75. Now it's unsellable. It's not worth much without upping the lease again. So if we don't up the lease, so to up the lease, we have to go back to the developer. The developer will then can say, well, I'll up the lease for you to 150 years, 120, whatever year it is, for if you pay me £25,000 or 30 or 40 or 50.
Wow.
So you need to watch out. This is your due diligence when you're doing when you're buying the property. Because remember, you said to us this property was worth 250 and it was the best thing since sliced bread, and that's why I was very excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
As I took it, I just looked at it. It looks so nice. I mean, it's something, and just by face looking, it looked really nice.
It does. It's a very nice house. I'm not knocking it. I'm looking at this house as an investor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of the good thing about it, I can see the roof line is very clean, so it's probably not going to leak. The fact that they've paved it right up to this where the water goes, it probably it's going to be very damp at some point, because this water's got nowhere to escape. They've paved the garden, so that means the house is damp. So you might have damp issues in this property. So if I was going to view this house, I'll be looking out for the damp in this particular property. Okay.
Wow.
And the other thing I would ask myself, okay, it's next to a park, but if it was next to a river, and then I'm thinking, or a train station, I'm thinking, does it have Japanese knotweed in this particular asset in property? Because if it does, then automatically this property is not mortgageable. But let's continue. Let's continue. Okay, so we've decided that we're definitely going to buy it. We now need to find out the price. So we know it's number 25. Number 25 something street. So we need to find the street. So if I go on to
Is it possible if I drop the link on the chat box, is it possible you pick it from there?
Okay, so go on. Yeah, that's fine.
If you click on the link, it will take it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, instead of trying to find the house. So we now need to find out how much this house is worth.
I'm seeing 150 here.
Okay, so they've sold it for it's on the market for 150. So let me try and find the postcode. So your next question is, yes, it's on the market for 150, but how much is it worth?
Yes.
Okay,
I just dropped the link now.
Okay, let me go on to is it in the chat?
Yes, it's in the chat box now. I just dropped it.
I wonder if it'll open. Okay. I don't know if this is useful for anybody or not. Okay, so these are the pictures. So again, when you're doing your due diligence, I can talk about the pictures. So this house is empty. And this is a new build. This is a trick of new builds. So if the new builds, to make them look bigger, they don't put doors.
All right. Okay. Oh,
So when
wow.
you go into the showroom, it's all really nice and spacious, and wow, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then,
Wow.
so there are no doors here in this
Yes.
photograph. Okay,
Mhm.
there are no doors in this
Mhm.
separating this kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay, and then if you think about it, so let's go into one of the rooms, one of these rooms.
Mhm.
Okay, there's a door there which they're trying to hide nicely,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they've kept it open. The fact they
Yeah.
keep the door open, psychologically, they're making sure that you're aware that this is a big house.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
If you think about it, there's radiators on this side, so you can't really use this window, this door,
Mm.
this thingy. So you
Mhm.
can't put your TV here.
No.
You could possibly put a chair here. So really,
Yeah.
you've only got two sides of this room that you can use. So this is why your families are going to be very cramped in this house. So they're not going to, they might come and rent it, but they're not going to
Mhm.
stay there for very long.
For a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because families grow.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay. So this is
Mhm.
another room where there are no doors.
Yeah.
And if you put a chair here and a chair
That's,
here, you've
it's
got
all
no
gone.
room. You've got no room left.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, this is it's a super tiny house.
Mm.
I don't know if this is marshland or whatever that they built it on, but why is this all worn out?
That's
Is
true.
it okay? So you will need to drain that because obviously that is entering into your house as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just some of the things you need to think about when you're looking at a house to rent. You must also look at the floor plans when it's really, really important. You look at the floor plans and understand the floor plans when you're buying the house. So we're looking at the ground floor. They're going to walk in through here, straight up the stairs, through our lounge, kitchen, diner, a super tiny kitchen because look, the cooker takes up almost all the space. Then
Yeah.
the sink takes up
The
almost all the
sink.
space. So
That's
you've got
true.
no space for your dishwasher, your washing machine, your cooker, your fridge, because here the doors are going to open. So this is a walking this is like functioning room. So your family is going to be very uncomfortable in this house.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you go up to the bedrooms again, they're super tiny bedrooms. They're 10 foot by 7 foot, 10 foot by 6.8 feet. If you think about a double bed is just under 6 feet. So you've got 8 inches left. Remember, half of this door here is like open halfway through the room. So this is going to be bedroom 3 is going to be a box room for maybe a cot or something like that. Okay. And then the largest bedroom, which is bedroom 1, at its longest is going to be 9 foot 6. Remember, a double bed is about 6 foot. So you don't have a lot of space left. So I'm just proving to you that if you're buying this asset, you put it on the market to rent for, I don't know, whatever rent it is, and then you're wondering why families are not actually coming to rent it. You know that before you've even started to buy this asset. Okay? I hope that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
All right. So we've got the floor plan, the map. It's on the back of a field, so that's probably why it's damp as well. If you can solve all these problems, then that's fine. So for example, you might say, well, I'll buy it and I'll put an extension on the back to make it a bit bigger. And that might be my exit strategy for this house, or I might make the loft space into a bedroom, but being a new build, they don't leave a lot of space in the loft. So you can't even do that. It's highly unlikely that you're going to be doing that. Okay?
Wow.
Sorry, Oscar. So it's being sold as a 3 beds and 2 baths and 1 reception room.
Reception. Yeah.
But what we saw that this reception room, you're going to have appliances in it. So you're going to have your fridge or fridge freezer in it. So it's going to be a super small house for this for your family. So when you're buying an asset, you need to think about the person who's going to be using it.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. That's understood. Wow. Wow. I would never imagine this.
All right. So, and we haven't even started any of the actual due diligence, really. But I just wanted to show everybody on the call that you don't need, you know, you can do a lot of this due diligence on the on your own. I wanted to go to Rightmove with this asset.
Mm-hmm.
Zoopla used to give you this information, but it doesn't really. It says it's freehold. Okay, so that's a good thing that it's freehold. I wonder why it is freehold. Again, I'll have to look and find out about that. Sometimes, by the way, sometimes they advertise freehold and it's actually leasehold.
Really?
So yeah, so you need to, because they want you to get into this property.
Yeah.
All right. No.
Yeah, you're right. We were looking at a property which was advertised as a freehold, but when we got there, they said it's a leasehold, but if you pay an extra 10,000, we can get you the freehold.
There you
wow.
go. I haven't even spoken to you about it, but I'm just now imagine if your lease is ending tomorrow, and for it, so when your lease ends, you need to vacate that property. So they will say to you, you need to extend your lease, and for us, give us £10,000. If you don't have that £10,000, you're trapped. I'm sure you've seen lots of people that bought these new houses, and they'll say, "Oh my God, we're trapped in our house." This is how they get trapped in the house.
Damn.
So I wanted to do, except my screen is not letting me do it. New share, maybe. So what I wanted to do is to find out how much the house is actually worth and how much rent it is. And this would determine how much you're going to offer your agent. Okay.
You mean for this one? Because I checked it up. I checked the breakdown.
Yeah.
So they said 150 deposit, 10%, that's 15,000. Long term.
No, that's not what I mean. The house is on the market for 150.
Yeah.
And it says the one offers over 150. My question is this property worth £150,000?
All right.
That's the first question, one of the first questions that you need to ask yourself. And
so how do I know?
How I was going to show you is by going on Rightmove.
Okay.
And showing you.
All right.
Except it's not allowing me. All right, okay. So B Vulcan Street. BD4. Can everybody see my Rightmove, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so if you go on Rightmove, there's a tab here called House Prices and sold and sold prices. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, because this is a new street, I don't think we're going to have any prices. Vulcan Street. So did you see? I got there. I went to house prices. Sold house prices.
House prices, yes.
And then Vulcan Street in Bradford. Okay, so in Vulcan Street in Bradford, in all of the years, I'm talking about the last 7 years, there have been 25 properties that have been sold.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And these are the addresses. So number 1 Vulcan Street was sold in February 2023 for £124,000.
24,000, yeah.
So why is yours 150?
150.
The next one, so February 2023 until now, that's only a year ago.
Yeah, so, almost a year ago.
So what has happened in that area to bring that property up by another £25,000? You don't need to ask me that question, answer that question, but it is something you need to ask yourself. You need to find out. Now, number 9, Vulcan Street, that sold just over a year and 3 months ago. That was 85,000, and it's a 3-bed semi. And it's actually, when I look at the picture, it's actually a better quality house than your house. And that got sold for 85,000. And that was a distress sale. because
Okay.
they bought it 115 in 2006,
Mhm.
and then they sold it in 2018 as a distress sale. That means either they defaulted on their mortgage or something happened and they got rid of it for 85,000. So this is telling me that your property is worth between 124 and 85,000. But I need to do a little bit more digging. So number 23, remember ours is number 25. So number 23 is going to be pretty similar to number 25. It got sold in December 2018 for £118,000. So when the bank comes to value your house, they'll average this. So when I look at these figures, okay, there's an anomaly there for 148. So they'll look at these figures and take the average. So I would say that your house, and bear in mind we're in 2024, is probably going to be worth not more than say £120,000.
Right.
So if you went to the bank and you put in an offer for 160, then the bank would come, because remember it's the bank that's buying this asset. It will look at these value. It will look at these real prices, and it will say, well, nothing in that area. Nothing. I mean, I'm looking at it. Nothing in that area hits that mark. It's probably not going to sell for 100. So the bank will say, we'll lend you 120, possibly 125. So that means that if you really want this asset, you need to find the deposit, the 5% deposit of 125 plus the 25. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Makes a lot of sense.
But you could offer 150 if you desperately wanted this house.
What? No. I guess my search will have to continue.
I'm just showing you how you should be
searching
and using the data. So so I looked at the property and I knew it was a new build. So for me personally, new builds, I run 100 miles the opposite. But then for your sake, I said, right, let's explore this market a bit further. So that's that one. So I've even got the postcode. It's BD4 9QU.
9QU.
Yeah, BD4 9QU.
9QU.
Okay. So this property is not on Rightmove. So I'm wondering, why is it not on Rightmove? So it might be that the agents Rightmove is the biggest agent on, not agent, but you know what I mean? Most agents on Rightmove is like selling on Amazon. So an agent might not list the property because they don't want their reputation at stake. So they can come to you and say, right, this house, we're going to list it for you for 130 or 125. And then if you say, well, we want 300,000 for it, an ethical agent will say, well, we're not going to list it because it's going to be against our reputation, because it doesn't make sense to list the property for 300 and sell it for 125. It shows that you don't know what you're doing. So the fact that this property is not listed on Rightmove is telling me that the price is not right for this asset. I might be wrong, but it's telling me that the price is not right for this asset.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So we've discovered the price. The real price is between 118 and 124. We've discovered that it's a 3-bed house, but it's not really a 3-bed. Yeah. Sorry. The next thing we need to find out is what is happening in this area. Is there anything happening in this area?
Okay.
So you could look in all sorts of places. You could look on the government website. So you could go to your Bradford planning portal. So you put in Bradford. If it was Liverpool, you put in Liverpool space, then .gov.uk. So the government port, .gov.uk is where all the councils are. So it will be liverpool.gov.uk, Wirral, and so on. So is there any kind of planning going on in this area? So I go on my .gov.uk. I don't know why. Do I have to share again if I go and change websites?
Oh, the window you were
Yeah,
sharing.
I think
I
so.
think you have
Yeah,
to do with the
you
window.
would have to, because
Oh.
now it's focused
It's
on that screen, so you would have to stop share and then reshare the new screen you want to share.
Okay, sorry, we are going to reshare. If this is not helpful to anybody, let me know and we can stop this exercise.
It's very helpful.
This is massively helpful, to be
So,
honest.
right.
Please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So what we need to do now is we need to find out, is anything going on in this neighborhood? Okay. So if we go to the website, bradford.gov.uk, can you see it still, or do I need to share again?
Not yet.
Share.
Oh, it's coming on now.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
it's on.
Yeah,
Yes.
are we sharing now? Okay,
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
So I'm going on Bradford Council, so I could go to Liverpool, Manchester, whatever your local, Lewisham, whatever. And then what I'm looking for is the planning portal.
Okay.
It's called planning. So if I go to the planning, yeah.
Right.
So I can either make an objection, report a breach, blah, 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 blah. So this is where all the plans are. Somewhere on your planning portal, there will be a planning application. There might be a planning application in this the area. So what we don't want to do, what we want to do is find out what's going on in this area. Are they going to build a train on top of my house? Are they going to do, what else is going on in this area? So I'm looking for planning, comment or object on a planning application.
Okay.
So I've gone here, comment on or object on a planning application. So I don't know if there's a planning application in this area, but I'm going to put my postcode in BD4 9QU and search. So there's probably no planning in this area.
Okay.
Or all right. Wow, there you go. So the planning in these are all the planning applications. So all right. So what I found is your house here, construction of residential development comprising of 18 dwellings on Vulcan Street. So these houses were built, or the planning was put in 2008. That's what I found. There's a former health center, etc., erection of a garage. So this is what's going on in your area. There might not be anything going on. So if there's nothing going on in that area, that tells me that, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and buy that property.
Okay.
But there might also be planning restrictions. So if you put your postcode in, sometimes just put in the area. So if I knew the area was called, I don't know, Vulcan Street, Vulcan, whatever,
Vulcan Street.
there, and then you will have the planning, any planning applications will come up in that area.
Okay.
Okay. Now here, I'm going to teach you another little trick. This is an inside trick. When you go on those planning, say this property, you want to approach the actual seller. Yeah. If you go on the planning and you go into the planning, you will find the person who put the application forward. The person who put the application forward is probably the seller. Okay. So if I went into this construction residential development, obviously it's 2009, but if my lease is due, then if I got into there, this is just inside info. And then if I go into contacts or documents, download the documents, and you will find the person who made the application. Write a letter to them and say, you know what? How about I buy your property off you for X? Or increase the lease on that for Y. And also this works if you see a development and you really want to buy in that development. So they would have put the application in and then write to them and say, you know what, you're constructing houses there. Can I be in on it? So this is another one.
Okay.
Okay. And this is also another way that you possibly find your peer-to-peer lender as well. Yeah, because they've got a development. They might be doing it right.
Yeah.
They might be looking for some money. They might be running out of money. So you could invest with them as well. Okay.
Wow. I hope, sorry, would the recording be available, please? Because I think I may want to go through this like 1,000 times.
Really? Somebody said, is it a presentation? Okay. I didn't do a presentation of this because I wanted to do it live. And I'm following what we get. So for example, I've never seen this house. Had this house been a normal traditional terrace house, the answers I'm giving you would have been different. So literally I'm tailoring these answers to this particular house. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So we've determined, Oscar, where the house is. You didn't even know the address. So we know it's number 25 Vulcan Street. We've got the postcode. We think it's freehold. We're not sure. We think it is.
Yeah.
It's 3-bed, but we've determined it's really not a 3-bed. We've also determined what kind of tenants are going to be. So it's probably going to be a very young family in there. So it's not going to be a family with 2 kids because they can't fit in it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. The other thing I need to do is to find out how much rent can I get? What's the least rent I can get from this house? So how much rent do you think you're going to get from this house, Oscar? How much do you want?
Now, because when I checked on mortgage repayment, the monthly mortgage repayment, it was showing me 800 and something pounds.
Okay, I'm going to ask my question again, Oscar. How much rent do you want for this property?
Says 850.
Okay, that's fine. So we write down that our target rent is 850.
Yeah.
So I need to find out what is the actual rent in the area, because you might want the moon and back, but you might not get it. So again, I'm going to go to Rightmove. I'm going to share. So I've stopped sharing, then I'm going to share again.
Okay.
Share, right? I'm not very good at this. You need to give me a course on this, I think, Julie. Right, I've stopped sharing and then I shared. Maybe I need to stop sharing first. Share, right. So Oscar, you've told us that you want 850, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. So you might want the moon and back, but what rent are you going to get? So if you go to rent on Rightmove, property to rent.
To rent, yeah.
And then we're going to put in the postcode BD4 9QU.
9QU.
Okay. Now, this postcode only, there's nothing there. So a quarter of a mile within this postcode, include let agreed properties, and then let's find the properties.
Okay.
So there's only been one property that has been let in this area, and it was added in January. So yeah, added in January. It's a semi-detached. It's a 3-bed. So I'm looking at it. Is it a proper 3-bed? Oh, it's got a tiny box room.
Yeah.
A proper garden. Remember, yours doesn't have one.
Yeah.
So this is a better house than your house, a bigger house.
Sure.
It's not 0.2 miles away, and it's renting at 895. Why would a family with parking, front and back, the kids can play, why would they pay you 850? You don't have to answer that question. I'm just showing you what you need to have a look at.
Yeah.
When you're considering now, you might say to yourself that, you know what, I'm happy to get 850 or 800 because my strategy is the long-term capital gains. I don't care what I get as long as I've got a job that can pay for the rest of it.
Yeah.
I want this property for capital gains in 15 or 20 years time, then I'll sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's your strategy, you might think, well, if I get 895, great, 850, fantastic, 750, I can live with that.
Okay.
You might also say, absolutely no way. If I don't get 850, I'm walking away from this property. And again, because of X, Y, and Z. And again, you can do that as well.
Okay.
Is that okay? So
Yes.
so really we're going to push the 850 if that's the rent we're going to get. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if this family was on benefits, what would be the rent that they get? So again, we need to go and find out. So we know 895, we're going to struggle. Yeah. Do you agree,
Mm-hmm.
Oscar? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
We want 850. If they were on benefits, what would they get? So we go to another website called, I'm going to stop share. I'm getting the hang of it now. And now I'm going to go to my LHA website. And remember, I touched on this last week. So I'm going to I'm going to Google LHA rates 2024 Bradford Council. Okay. So I'm going to get to the page and then I'll share the page with you.
Okay.
It's a shame that I can't share it right now, but okay. I'm going to share this page with you now because I think I'm getting the hang of it now.
Okay.
Post. Why am I not sharing? Maybe you need to post. Post can share. Julie, can you share me again? I think this will be the last bit because there's so much more due diligence that we can do, but I'm just showing you. Oh, goodness. It's not allowing me. Why isn't it allowing me to share?
Just made you co-host again.
Okay, you co-host.
Mm.
Oh, it's not allowing me to.
Right, let me make you a full host, but
Yeah.
you would have to send it back before you leave.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah, because otherwise it assumes you're the host and like.
Oh God. So anyway, what I've done is I've gone on use direct.gov.uk.
Okay.
So for Oscar, it will be LHA hyphen direct.gov.uk. Will it allow me to share this page? It's not allowing me to share it, but anyway. And then I'm going to put in the postcode BD4 9 what? QU. And then I'm going to select Bradford as my local authority.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put 3-bed. And then I'm going to submit. I'm going to say it's going to take us 3 months to buy or 4 months. So I'm going to start from April. Oh, 3-bed, enter the postcode BD4 9QU, Bradford. I'm sorry, it's not allowing me to share this bit.
That's fine.
And submit. Oh, I'll just do LHA rates, Bradford. This bit is really, really important because if you advertised it at 850 and you didn't get any, and you only got universal credit tenants.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the LHA rates for Bradford. My goodness. I'm just conscious that I'm probably wasting a lot of people's time as well. It's not telling me for Bradford.
Okay.
Post all participants. It's not allowing me to share this time. Let me do it on my phone and then I can tell you the rates. This bit is very important because you need to understand how much rent you're going to get. So we're
Okay.
doing all this research before we've even stepped foot into the house.
Yeah.
We'll make you a host, and then I will request to rescind once we're done.
We'll be here.
Later. You're now the host. You're now the host. So now try and see if you can share.
Okay, let me see. Okay, share. Where is my share? Share, like I'm sharing. Okay. I'm sharing, yeah.
Right.
So I went to Universal Credit. I'm going to put LHA rates for Bradford. Maybe Bradford's not published their rates.
Mm.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about this. I thought it would be. It's not allowing me to do Bradford, but let's pretend it's Manchester.
Okay.
So LHA rates. Oh, let's do Liverpool. So you can
Okay.
see that I'm not being biased. Oh, it's not showing me. Maybe it's because they are changing this month. LHA rates. Okay, so your LHA rates. It's not giving them to me, but it was here. I promise you, it was.
Mhm.
And I think for a 2-bed, it's something like £500 a month. That's what I really wanted you to see. Something like 600.
Okay.
So that tells me that I'm going to forget that because it's taking too long, and I feel sorry for you, and you're all tired. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, so you found that the market is telling you that the rent is $895 for a decent 3-bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yours is not a decent 3-bed. And you've also found out that the LHA rate for a 3-bed in that area is only going to be, I think it's going to be about 600.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be at tops 700, but it's definitely not going to reach that 895.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But it just shows you that if you got a tenant on benefits and they're only claiming benefits, already that market of tenants is out of your reach.
That's true.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so those tenants won't be your tenants. The working tenants probably will pay a lot less for that property.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's more data for you. Then the last thing I wanted to do is to calculate how much is this house going to cost us every month. So
For the
already,
mortgage.
yeah, the mortgage. So already we said that already I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm absolutely petrified because I'm thinking I'm going to lose everybody. So basically you find out your interest rate. So say the interest rate is 6%. Stop share. I'm going to stop sharing. So I'm going to just talk you through this one because I don't want to lose you. So if the interest rate is 6%, so the interest rate that you pay is the minimum amount that you're going to pay for that property. It's usually the bank base rate. So at the moment, the Bank of England base rate is 5.25%, unless if it went up and I'm not aware. But it's usually at the moment it's 5.25%. So it's highly unlikely that whatever product you're going to get is going to be below that 5.25%. If it is, the rest of the money is going to be hidden in the contract.
Really?
Yes, and you're going to pay for it. So anyway, so we're going to pay 5.25% plus maybe 1.5%, 2%. So let's do 2%. So that means that your mortgage rate is going to be 7.25%. What mortgage rate did they give you us?
It's a 5.5.
Oh, 5.5. So that's 0.25% above. But I think there are fees in there that are probably hidden that are going to make that a little bit higher, because there's no way they're not making money on that product. They're going to make money either way. They have to make money. But anyway, let's say it's 5.50, which is what you said. So if you do you multiply 5.50 times by the the asking price, which is 150. I wouldn't pay 150, so let's put it at 125.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get a number at the end of that. Sorry, so you multiply 0.05. Sorry, I should have said that 0.5 to 550 by the 125,000. That's 125 and then 3 zeros.
Okay.
And you're getting a figure of 685 out of it. So if we divide that by 12, that gives us a figure of 572, 573.
Okay.
So that 573 is the just pure interest that you're going to be paying every month for this asset.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So then you want to be clearing some of this asset. So you might say, I'm going to pay an extra £300 a month. So that's where your 850 comes from.
Now I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that one. Then the other thing we need to find out is there's things that you need to pay, like stamp duty. So if you were struggling with your mortgage, this is really important to know. You could offer them just the interest, which is the 572. So you know from the outset that if you were struggling with this mortgage, it would not go below 572.
572, yeah.
It would not go below that. So your finances have to be robust enough to be able to meet this figure. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, suppose Matt Carney and his mates decided to up the interest rate by 2%. So you need to be able to cover that as well. That's what they call affordability stress testing. So we did 5.5. So let's put another 2 percentage points on that, which will make it 5.5. So times by, I'll do it this for you, stress test it. So if the Bank of England raised the rates by 2%, you would need to pay 800 a month.
580 to 800 a month.
That's right, yes. So if you were to get a mortgage and your income does not cover that 800, they will not lend you this money. So that's how they're stress testing it. Now, I think I'm going to leave it there for today because to look at Oscar's property is probably going to take us another 3 hours because we haven't looked at whether this house is on gas, whether this house it's got underfloor stuff. We haven't looked at the energy performance certificate of this property. We haven't looked at how much, whether it's really leasehold or whether it's freehold. And we can also buy the title deeds of this asset. So these are some of the things that you need to do when you're buying a property. Now, remember, Oscar, we haven't even gone for a viewing yet.
No. Oh my God.
So if you want to invest in property, this is the sort of stuff you need to do. You need, I urge you to invest with somebody who knows what they're doing, who loves what they're doing, and hopefully just, take you through it step by step by step by step. And if you're happy with it, then proceed and invest with that individual. If you're not, if they hide anything, the reason why I wanted to do this exercise with Oscar is to show you, first of all, I knew nothing about this property, nothing at all. I knew it the second Oscar presented it, and then we went through it the way I would go through it if I was buying this asset. And I've not hidden anything from you. I don't have any paper here. I didn't know Oscar. I don't even know what Oscar looks like. But this is the sort of due diligence that you need to do. There's due diligence on the money side as well that we haven't done. There's lots and lots of due diligence that we haven't done yet. But it gives you an insight into when you're investing in property, the sort of things that you need to do. I hope that's helpful. It's been fun. And thank you for having me once again. I hope it was helpful.
Thank you so massively. Personally,
Very helpful.
all I have heard before now is interest, deposit. Oh, get nice credit, rating. If you can get your deposit, you can get your house, and all that stuff. I never knew this. It is so deep, so big, so there's so much to do with this whole thing, coming with hidden charges, because I wouldn't even imagine there will be all of these undertones and all that. I guess there's a lot to be done, not just jumping into buying a house, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of mistakes to do. So, for example, in this asset, the first mistake you would have done is off 150.
Big one.
So already you're £25,000 behind.
Yeah.
You've lost £25,000. You've lost it. You've written it off.
Yeah.
So imagine somebody took out their pension and they started chomping away at it. So they bought 5 of these and made 5 of these big losses. And that's why the government does not allow you to take out your pension early and buy property. It doesn't allow you to do it.
So, sorry for this question. I don't know if it is fine to ask it.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say that one can come to you as a property consultant if someone is ready? My apologies to Wodin, please. It's I don't know if I'm allowed to ask the question, but I just had to ask it.
I think for me, I'd love to do it for Black people. I probably charge you less because I want you on that property ladder and I don't want you to make a mistake. But for me, really, I'd like to build the relationship so that you can trust what I'm telling you. So for me, that's how I work. If you trust what I'm telling you, yes, come forward and we can have a chit chat, and then I'll charge you for it. I hope it shows you today. I didn't come to sell anything to anybody today, I promise you. But I hope it shows you that there are some genuine property investors out there who are willing to not only share the information with you, but help you on your journey. So if you wanted help, yes, I would be quite happy to help you. But please go and view the property just to prove me wrong. And also when you view the property, you start to notice, is the roof bent? Because that's what I was going to ask. Is the roof bent? Is the property on marshland? Is it on wetland? Do they brick it to cover up that wetland? Is it on the floodplain? So all those things really help you when you go and see the property. There's an area in Salford here where they've drenched in Manchester, built really beautiful houses. Now I'm from Manchester, and when I was a kid, the place used to flood. So what they've done is they've drained it. They put £250,000 properties on there. They're all leasehold. And I'm sure those houses are going to flood. 10 years from now, they're going to flood. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if you're happy with the information I'm giving you, that's really great. And I'd love to help you to buy your property in Bradford.
Thank you very much for that question, for that answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for trusting me. That's really good.
Yeah, I think people are asking for your contact details.
Oh my
If you're happy to put them in the chat.
Yes, I can send
people can grab them.
Oh,
that would really be nice.
The best way to contact me is by email because I'm super busy. And so if you send me a text, I'll probably not reply. Not because I don't want to reply, but yeah, I've got tons of tests. The thing is, don't even bother with WhatsApp because I've got over 10,000 messages on WhatsApp. But what I'll do is I'll put my email in here and then just drop me an email and just a quick summary. I probably won't be able to get back to you this month. I did promise Rachel and Sade that we'll do a finance issue, and I was going to see if they were available on a Tuesday. We could do a Tuesday because these 2 sessions have been on a Tuesday and it works for me, but it's probably going to be about 6:30 in the evening. I was going to ask if that's okay. I think Sade said it was okay. I'm not sure if Rachel was available at that time. I'll just answer a few more questions before we go.
Would you like to return hosting?
For the murders of 19-year-old Grace O'Malley Kumar, a friend and fellow student.
I would really appreciate the recording. Thank you. That's very kind.
Would you like to return the hosting? Because then I can mute people.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, hosting. I'm training in this.
Click on the 3 dots on the top of your screen and the top of your name, and then you can.
Today, the prosecution accepted the manslaughter.
Where are these 3 dots, my dear?
On your on your avatar, on your screen, on the
Oh,
screen.
my avatar. Okay.
There's the three dots on there.
Just the road.
You will see
Out.
on the
At 4
side.
a.m.,
And
200
you should be able
yards from their
to.
student flats. Al-Qaeda attacked Barney.
I can see Facebook
The court heard how Grace tried to
No, on
protect
the
her friend
Zoom.
by pushing
on the
Al-Qaeda
Zoom.
away.
Yeah.
When he turned on her,
I'm so
he
sorry.
fought back.
No, it's
despite
okay.
being repeated.
Oh God, I need training in this one. Property is easier.
Well, actually, Zoom is easier.
Can I just ask some question, please?
Yes, please.
Ask away.
You know the talk you want to do with Rachel and Silver. I would like to participate. Actually, after 6:30 is my ideal time.
What it is, I offered
Trying to gain access
one person to do like a financial thing, so it's going to be personal. And they put up their hand, and that's why I said, yeah, why not? And the reason why we did Oscar is because he added property to buy. I did offer, said, you know, does anybody have a property to buy? And Oscar had.
Okay.
But yes, we could do a consultation more. I'm trying to. Sorry, Julie. I told you. First reading.
Al-Qaeda was arrested at 5:35. They say they had to use a taser.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
He was armed with a knife.
Let me answer these questions, and I will. Very valuable information. Really appreciated. Financial education is very important for all of us who get into an investment. Please, contact details. I will put my email in the chat. This was eye-opening. Oh, thank you.
Last June, in front of thousands, one of his
So,
mother spoke of
you
the
hire to
theories.
do all these calculations, please. You hire me or someone else. Thank you for presentations. Thank you so much. I didn't think it was that complicated. Like Oscar thought it's just a deposit. No, it's not. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Which day were you proposing we have it, Rachel? Tuesday, Rachel. Tuesday around about 6:30 works for me. Oh my goodness. Julie, I've hijacked your thing.
Okay.
Advanced sharing options, host only, all participants. Is that the one?
Mm-hmm.
All participants?
Yeah.
Or maybe I need to close my screen. Let me close the screen. I'm really sorry about this.
It can be there so that something horrendous like this can be repeated.
Oh my God.
I think, you know,
I can't do it. I'm so sorry.
A person like him deserves to be put away and not have any type of society.
Yeah. How is that? Am I sharing now?
Yeah, you're sharing screen.
It's more of a
Have you got it now, Julie?
The
host.
you're sharing the screen.
Oh God. Breakout rooms, reaction support, stop, hide, share sound. Oh, I don't know how to do it. I'm so sorry. Stop share?
No, stop sharing. Just stop sharing the screen.
Oh God.
And on participants, click on the little participants thing image again.
Where down? I can see who can share host. Host only.
Yeah, and make me host. Unless on your Zoom you're the only one who can be a host.
I think I'm the only one who's the host.
On your Zoom.
Yeah, it's not giving me. So who can start sharing? Host only.
Because Rachel is a co-host unless she was removed.
Oh God, Rachel, can you take me off? It says Rachel's co-host.
Yeah.
I'm still co-host, but I cannot do that. I think she just has to click on your name and then she can make
me a host. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, on Julie's name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. On the 3 dots.
Mm.
Oh, you didn't say that. Yay. I'm so sorry. Honestly, people, property is easier. Oh God.
So am I the host now?
You should be, yes. I think I've put my email in chat.
Yeah, I am. No worries. Awesome.
I can do pharmacy, I can do property, I can't do Zoom.
No, that's great. Look, see, we've just learned something new.
I've learned something new. Yes, you know, if God gives you lemons, make lemonade. That's my email, Rachel.
Where's the email? Is it on chat or?
I'll put it in. I think I've messaged Rachel.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Or let me. Okay.
That's fine.
I'll send it again.
Now, funerals have been taking place in Israel.
All right, you guys.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Oscar. You've been a great support.
The deadliest case.
Thank you,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The Palestinians, the daily death toll has been unrelenting.